I've always been a fan of Apple iPhones. I started with the 3GS back in 2009, then the iPhone 4, and the slippery slope continues from there. The 2010s really were the golden era for iPhones. Each new generation came with genuinely great new features, third-party apps that blew my mind, and it was one of the fastest evolving consumer items ever. So you probably know where I'm going with this. Smartphone innovation has now slowed, and most of us just want a reliable, secure, and durable smartphone at this point. So 6 months after using the iPhone 16 Pro, and it's proven to be reliable, secure, and durable, with some important caveats. So the question is, has Apple's iPhone 16 Pro held up well or fallen short? Let's answer that in this long-term review and re-examine this phone with all its new updates, including iOS 18 and Apple Intelligence. So let's start with this design and how it's held up. The iPhone 16 Pro has thinner bezels than the 15 Pro, which gives it an ever so slightly larger display by 0.2 inches. Only when viewing the iPhone 15 Pro side by side is the difference in screen size noticeable, and it is nice having a larger screen without increasing its physical size. And it's been a lovely display to use actually. It handles reflections and bright sunlight decently. It has great contrast, but it's not the best display on the market. I feel like the Pixel 9s and the S25 Ultra displays are a notch above in both brightness and pixel density. I've also noticed a growing number of hairline scratches on the iPhone 16 Pro's display. It's not as durable as I initially thought. So without a screen protector on it, it's a rather soft display in that it collects these hairline scratches. Take it out of your bag, for example, and it hits the zipper, or accidentally drop it into the pocket with your house keys, and you'll suddenly find the phone with more scratches than you upsetting a grumpy cat. Revisiting the camera button, which Apple paraded as this big amazing thing during its launch, and for me personally, it's sort of collected dust over the 6 months and I could do without the button. I have used it occasionally though as a shortcut to the camera app if I'm in a rush to take a photo, but mapping the camera app to the 15 Pro's action button yields the same result. So the overall design still works well, but considering it looks similar to the iPhone 11, which is 5 generations older, I think it's probably time for a design refresh. So the rumored iPhone 17 Air may give us exactly that. I also want to point out the incredible stereo speakers. They're probably the best phone speakers I've used to date. They're Dolby Atmos and spatial audio compatible, and there have been moments using the phone in landscape mode that I thought I genuinely heard the sounds from behind me. They're also plenty loud, even at half volume. I've been using the speakers plenty in the shower and listening to audiobooks in the kitchen, and they're honestly really good, and I just wanted to point that out. But one notable downside with using this phone over the past 6 months is its graphene thermal system, because this phone gets hot, like really hot. A month ago, I was filming in Adelaide with Audi, and it so happened to be the hottest city in the world on that day. I think it was like a silly 45 degrees Celsius or 113 Fahrenheit. And this phone was sort of next to unusable. I was trying to film in 4K 60, but the footage filmed was super choppy, and it was obvious that the internals were overheating. Meanwhile, the Galaxy S25 Ultra that I had with me as well was cool as a cucumber. Granted, it was an unusually hot day, but a quick search online will show that others are experiencing the same thermal issues, so it's clear that Apple needs to address this issue. Now, if we set aside thermal issues, the A18 Pro chip is powerful and efficient. I've cycled the battery over 120 times, and checking the battery health in the settings, the phone's battery is still at 100% max capacity. Granted, I've set the max charge limit to 90%, so that likely has helped with its long-term health. To this day though, I'm consistently getting between 10 to 14 hours of use, with 3 to 4 hours of active screen time with a mix of all sorts of apps. So battery life is solid for most users, but the iPhone 16 Pro definitely doesn't have an over 1 day battery life. So here's to hoping that Apple will begin to use higher capacity silicon carbon batteries soon. But in the meantime, we can rely on great third-party chargers. A great dock charger that I've been using is the Enquiries Mag Go wireless charging station, and for transparency, Enquiries sponsoring this segment of the video. It's a sleek and nicely designed 3-in-1 dock stand made specifically for iPhones, with each charger capable of 15-watt Qi 2 charging and is MagSafe compatible, so it snaps into the right place every time. Compared to your usual 7.5 watt chargers, this dock juices up your iPhone twice as fast. So when I'm in a pinch before running out of the house, this charger is able to charge double fast, bringing it from 0 to 25% charge in about 20 minutes. It's also one of the more sturdy and well-built charging docks I've used, with a soft touch finish and compact design that sits nicely on a work desk or even a bedside table. And because I'm able to charge my AirPods, Apple Watch, and iPhone via 15-watt Qi 2 charging from a single spot. If you've watched my desk setup videos, you'll likely know that I am a big fan of the iPhone's beautiful standby mode, and thankfully, this charger is able to be shifted vertically and horizontally, so the iPhone standby mode can be activated as a nice touch to the desk, or even be tilted horizontally by 45 degrees when I'm taking a hands-free FaceTime call from the desk, for example. Overall, this is a great versatile charger that has both form and function. It's an aesthetic addition to any desk or room, while also simplifying your charging needs to one spot. You can check out the latest offer on the Enquiries Mag Go wireless charging station using the link in the description box below. Now let's talk about the cameras, because this is one area where my love for the iPhone 16 Pro has actually grown. Each lens on this phone consistently shoots clean and well-exposed photos. The iPhone balances post-processing well. It's neither too artificial nor too basic, with the only caveat being that the white balance leans to this warmer orange tint. But the reason why my love for these cameras has grown is because I've embraced shooting in Pro RAW mode over the last 6 months. Previously, I've avoided this mode because the file sizes are extremely large, but having bought the 16 Pro with 1TB storage and also using iCloud storage, I now had no excuses. So shot after shot, the RAW photos are some of the best I've encountered on a smartphone. It's enabled me to shoot in a variety of situations all around the world, knowing that the shot will turn out pretty great. So the iPhone Pro has single-handedly grown my love for mobile photography, so much that I find myself leaving behind the dedicated camera because I'm perfectly happy to shoot Pro RAW with this. Now, shifting gears to video, it's the same story here. It remains best in class for mobile videography, particularly when shooting in log mode in the new Final Cut camera app, which enables dedicated video tools to control white balance, exposure, and focus points. So just like the photos, you can't go wrong with the iPhone 16 Pro to shoot videos. The software experience on the iPhone has always been a highlight, and it's great to see that iOS 18 supports phones as far back as the iPhone XR and 11. But between some serious system bugs and a disappointing start to Apple Intelligence, I've got to say that iOS 18 has been slightly frustrating. The list of bugs that I've experienced, which I have here, I've experienced these bugs over the last month, and they include apps just not launching or just straight crashing. I couldn't swipe up to get to the home screen. Contact chats starting on their email address, even though they were originally chats using their phone numbers. And maybe the most frustrating by far is that sometimes the volume will suddenly max out and scare the crap out of me, especially when I have my headphones on. So if you've experienced any of these bugs, please let me know, because surely I'm not the only one. But now that Apple Intelligence is fully available to use, 6 months on, My general feeling around it has been, well, it feels like it was overhyped. There are some genuinely useful Apple Intelligence features I use from time to time, like transcription summaries, writing tools, photos cleanup, and the odd Genmoji for fun here and there. But these features are hardly groundbreaking. And in fact, I personally found that Google's Gemini on Pixel 9 phones to be leagues better in execution and features. It's not all bad news though, because iOS still has great integrations within the Apple ecosystem. Things like iPhone mirroring, handoff, and AirDrop. They're all incredible features worth their weight in gold. They make my time working and just generally using Macs and iPhones together so much easier. So after 6 months, has the iPhone 16 Pro held up well? From a hardware perspective, I think so. I absolutely adore the display and speakers. Its battery health remains next to perfect after 120 cycles, and the cameras are second to none. From a software perspective though, it's starting to show signs of weakness. iOS 18 is the first iteration where I've personally experienced a few ongoing bugs, and I've been surprised at its overall lack of polish. And Apple Intelligence, as it stands, is not useful or impactful enough to get habitual use out of. It still feels a little sort of rushed out. But despite its shortcomings, it remains a really, really good phone as an entire package. So I think if you can snag an iPhone 16 Pro on the secondhand market for a good price, it's a phone that represents really good value, particularly if you're leapfrogging a few generations to the iPhone 16 Pro. Otherwise, I think hold on to your current phone and let's hope Apple pulls out a showstopper with the iPhone 17.